Hello there, you're watching Nightline and I'm Muhammed Ahmad Hamdan. News making the headlines. Private investment expected to increase to 78 billion ringgit through PIKAS 2030. And over 122,000 Year 1 pupils identified as needing intervention to improve 3R skills. Good morning. The government expects private investment to increase to 78 billion ringgit through the Public-Private Partnership Master Plan 2030 or PIKAS 2030. In light of this, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim wants all projects under the master plan to be implemented with strict governance principles and to be resilient against misconduct. According to Anwar, PIKAS 2030, which is under the Prime Minister's Department's Public-Private Partnership Unit, UCAS, is an integrated initiative aimed at strengthening governance and project management through a public-private partnership PPP approach. It is also a key effort to accelerate the nation's economic growth while addressing fiscal challenges.
Peranan UCAS seperti mana yang Sri Syamsul Azri lebih maklum kerana bekerja dengan saya beberapa tahun lebih kebelakangan ini adalah untuk memastikan kepesatan kelulusan yang tidak terikat dengan karenah birokratik yang berlebihan, tetapi tidak berganjak dari prinsip utama tentang tata kelola dan mengelak dari sebarang kecurangan yang telah menjahanamkan sebahagian daripada impetus perubahan negara kita.
Anwar said this in his speech at the launch of PIKAS 2030 in Cyberjaya on Monday. The strategic plan was introduced to provide a robust and sustainable PPP landscape to drive the nation's prosperity. In addition to generating private investment worth 78 billion ringgit, PIKAS 2030 also aims to contribute 82 billion ringgit to the gross domestic product (GDP) and create 900,000 jobs by 2030. Meanwhile, Anwar, who is also the finance minister, said that Malaysia is now receiving better recognition as an international investment destination. The Prime Minister emphasized that despite strengthening economic cooperation with major powers like Russia and China, Malaysia continues to attract American investors while maintaining close relations between Kuala Lumpur and Washington.
Membolehkan mereka melabur melalui syarikat Boeing di Kedah. Itu kerana mereka yakin akan keupayaan dasar kita, walaupun kadang-kadang ada yang bimbang kerana nampak ada sedikit anjakan dari segi dasar luar.
Previously, it was reported that Boeing has fully acquired Aerospace Composites Malaysia Sdn Bhd in December last year, a joint venture with Hexcel Corporation. The facility provides composite products and sub-assemblies for all of its commercial airplane models and is Boeing's first wholly-owned manufacturing facility in Southeast Asia. It also employs an all-Malaysian workforce of around 1,000 people. At a separate event in the afternoon, the Prime Minister called for appropriate procedures and protections to be established to prevent injuries and deaths of detainees in police lockups. In this regard, the Royal Malaysia Police (PDRM) and Malaysian Human Rights Commission (Suhakam) have been instructed to conduct investigations and studies to address the issue.
Yang menyiasat itu polis, yang menjatuhkan hukum itu hakim. Jadi sebelum dijatuhkan hukum, mereka itu jangan dihukum terlebih dahulu. Jadi kalau orang bicara tentang ada kebimbangan tentang penderaan atau kematian dan lokap, tak perlu yakinkan saya, kerana saya tahu apa yang kita rasakan dan rasa umpamanya we just seem helpless.
Anwar was speaking at Suhakam's 25th Silver Jubilee celebration in Kuala Lumpur. He added that proper procedures were important to prevent the perception that every custodial death was due to police abuse. He also said that Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Razaruddin Hussein has expressed PDRM's openness to cooperating with Suhakam on this matter. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi has called on global leaders to further enhance coordination among nations to combat transnational crimes more effectively. He said strong coordination mechanism between nations involving closer cooperation between government agencies, law enforcement, community organizations and private sector partners is crucial in fighting such crimes. Zahid added that these crimes are often committed by international syndicates. Thus, an effective coordination would allow countries to handle security threats more efficiently.
We cannot afford to work in isolation. We need to invest in cutting-edge technologies, enhance cross-border information sharing, and build strong partnerships.
Zahid said this when delivering his keynote address at the Global Public Security Cooperation Forum Lianyungang 2024 in Jiangsu Province, China on Monday. He stated that Malaysia has expressed its commitment to forge strong security relationships worldwide. An example of this would be a mutual agreement with China signed in June this year to enhance cooperation in preventing and combating transnational crimes. A total of 122,062 Year 1 pupils across the country have been selected to undergo a literacy and numeracy intervention program to help them improve their reading, writing and arithmetic 3R skills. The Education Ministry said that the students were screened by their teachers after 3 months of teaching and learning and identified as having not reached the minimum proficiency level for the subjects of Malay and mathematics. At a special media briefing on curriculum intervention in Putrajaya on Monday, Education Director General Azman Adnan said that the students screened are from a total of 440,000 pupils in the Year 1 cohort for the 2023-2024 school session.
Bagi murid tahun 1 yang belum menguasai kedua-dua, literasi dan numerasi, jumlahnya ialah 62,928 orang. Bagi murid tahun 1 yang belum menguasai literasi saja, ialah sebanyak 45,465 orang. Dan murid tahun 1 yang belum menguasai aspek numerasi berjumlah 13,669 orang.
He said the intervention program began last month and the pupils would participate in the program for a 3-month period. During the period, the pupils would receive guidance to ensure they become more competent in literacy as well as numeracy and can meet the minimum level required. Another assessment will then be conducted after the 3-month intervention. If the pupils pass, they will move back to the mainstream class. Otherwise, they will undergo another round of intervention. Azman also said pupils who did not master their literacy and numeracy even after the intervention would still advance to Year 2. The National Disaster Management Agency, NADMA, will introduce a new policy that will serve as the foundation for developing disaster risk management legislation for the country. Its Director General, Datuk Khairul Shahril Idris, said the policy is expected to be launched within this year.
Kita telah mendapat arahan daripada Kabinet untuk mengubah satu akta berkaitan dengan pengurusan bencana yang mana kebanyakan daripada negara-negara di dunia telah mempunyai akta tersebut dan ini merupakan salah satu komitmen kerajaan untuk memastikan bahawa dari segi pengurusan bencana dapat berjalan dengan lebih elok.
Khairul said this during a visit to Media Prima Berhad headquarters at Balai Berita Bangsa on Monday. He was welcomed by Media Prima Group Chairman Datuk Seri Dr. Syed Hussein Al-Junid, Media Prima Group Managing Director Rafiq Razali, and Media Prima Television Network's News and Current Affairs Deputy Group Editor Azhari Muhyiddin. During the visit, both parties also discussed about strengthening the cooperation between government agencies and media outlets like Media Prima, which is the largest in the country, in order to spread information to help people prepare for natural disasters. Moving on, a total of 10 billion ringgit has been withdrawn through the Employees Provident Fund EPF's flexible account or account 3 by members up to August 31st this year. EPF Chief Executive Officer Ahmad said that this amount is much lower than the fund's early estimates made in May.
Bila kita tengok sehingga 31 Ogos hanya 10 bilion yang dah keluar, kita dah turunkan anggaran kita daripada 25 bilion kepada hanya 15 bilion tahun ni. Jadi kami agak happy juga pasal ramai yang lebih bernas untuk manage their own money.
Ahmad said this to TV3 during his visit to Sri Pentas in Petaling Jaya on Monday. The flexible account was introduced to provide flexibility for short-term financial needs to over 16 million members. Beginning May 11, 2024, the contribution ratio to the retirement account or account 1 has been increased by 5% to 75%. Following this, over 5 billion ringgit has been transferred to members' retirement accounts to date. Seputih Member of Parliament Teresa will be questioned by the police on Tuesday regarding her recent remarks on the issue of halal certification, which drew criticism from various parties. Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Razaruddin Hussein said Kok has been summoned to have her statement recorded by the Bukit Aman Classified Criminal Investigation Unit at 10 a.m. According to Razaruddin, several other witnesses, including representatives from the Malaysia Islamic Development Department or JAKIM, will also be called to assist with the investigation, which will be determined later. On Sunday, the top cop said that authorities have opened an investigation paper against Kok after multiple police reports were lodged against her Multimedia Act and would follow the Standard Operating Procedures SOPs concerning issues related to the royalty, religion and race 3R. Last Thursday, it was reported that JAKIM is considering a proposal to make halal certification mandatory for all restaurants and food companies that did not serve pork and alcohol. However, Kok argued that such a move could burden small businesses, adding that it would be an embarrassment to the country. She later issued a statement on Sunday defending her comments, stressing that her remarks were in no way intended to question halal certification, JAKIM's role, or show disrespect towards Islam. Typhoon Yagi collapses Vietnam Bridge. This and more from the Foreign Front when Nightline returns.
Gua nasi lemak. Budak-budak panggil gua Cik Mak. Dah ready semua? Mula! Tapi perlu kita bergaduh macam ni. Jangan banyak cakap.
Kilang rempah guna sijil halal tamat tempoh.
Logo halal tak nak bagi kosong. Tak nak proof pun. Pasal yang pakai.
Premis meragukan, elak pihak berkuasa.
Satu lagi taktik yang dapat dikesan sebelum ini menggunakan nama syarikat lain.
Saksikan 999 Selasa jam 9 malam di TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
And we're back with news from the Foreign Front. A busy bridge in northern Vietnam has collapsed in the wake of Super Typhoon Yagi, plunging 10 cars and 2 scooters into the Red River on Monday. Deputy Prime Minister Ho Duc Phuc said at least 3 people have been rescued so far, while 13 others remain missing after the Phong Chau Bridge in Phu Tho Province collapsed at 10 a.m. local time due to floodwaters. However, he said that it is still unclear if there have been any deaths. In the meantime, rescue operations were underway to locate the missing people, but violent floodwaters are hampering the search. The part of the 375-metre structure was still standing, and the military has been instructed to build a pontoon bridge as soon as possible. Yagi, Asia's most powerful storm this year, has killed more than 60 people since it made landfall in Vietnam on Saturday. Israeli airstrikes killed 18 people in western Syria and wounded dozens of others on Sunday night. the deadliest Zionist regime's attack since the Iranian embassy compound in Damascus was hit in April. In a statement on Monday, Syrian authorities said that another 37 people were also wounded in the attacks, with 6 of the victims in serious condition. They added that the Zionist forces launched the strikes at around 11:20 p.m. local time and targeted a number of military sites in the central region without elaborating on what was struck. Syria's foreign ministry condemned the attack as an act of blatant aggression, while Iran's foreign ministry condemned the strikes, calling it a criminal attack. However, there was no immediate comment from the Zionist regime, which typically remains silent on reports of strikes in Syria. Thousands of diaspora Indians protested in more than 130 cities across 25 countries on Sunday to demand justice after last month's rape and murder of a trainee doctor at a hospital in India. The protest started in large and small groups across Japan, Australia, Taiwan and Singapore before spreading to cities in Europe and the US. Hundreds of protesters gathered in several cities in the San Francisco Bay Area, demanding accountability for the crime and safety for Indian women. Over in Dublin and California, protesters formed a human chain, shouting slogans and waving placards that read, "We demand justice." These protests are in addition to ongoing nationwide protests in India after the killing of the 31-year-old postgraduate student of chest medicine on August 9th. Meanwhile, the country's Supreme Court on Monday ordered protesting doctors to resume work by Tuesday, warning them they may face adverse action if they fail to adhere to the deadline. The interim government in Bangladesh will seek former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's extradition from India after she fled the country owing to violent protests which ended up ousting her government last month. The country's International Crimes Tribunal ICT chief Muhammed Islam on Sunday accused Hasina of carrying out massacres and said that they will start the legal procedure to bring her back. He added that Bangladesh has a criminal extradition treaty with India, which was signed in 2013 while Hasina's government was in power. 76-year-old Hasina fled the country for India on August 5th after a violent uprising against her led to hundreds being killed, including many students. She has not been seen in public, and her last official whereabouts is a military airbase near India's capital, New Delhi. The US presidential race remained neck and neck on Sunday, just 2 days before Kamala Harris and Donald Trump hold their first and potentially only televised debate. A national poll conducted by the New York Times and Siena College showed that 78-year-old Trump leads Harris nationally by 48 to 47%, well within the margin of error. Separately, a CBS and YouGov poll showed a similarly tight race in key swing states, with Harris leading narrowly in Michigan and Wisconsin and tied in Pennsylvania. The latest polling confirmed that Trump retains locked-in support from about half of voters, despite the Republicans' historic status as a convicted criminal. Harris, on the other hand, has rapidly transformed from a little-noticed vice president into a serious contender, but has not made a major breakthrough, leaving the race a toss-up. In Nigeria, a fuel tanker collided with another truck, causing an explosion that killed at least 48 people. The crash occurred in the Agai area, located in the north-central Niger state, on Sunday, when a fuel tanker clashed head-on with another truck carrying passengers and cattle. Authorities initially reported discovering 30 bodies, but later updated the count to include an additional 18 bodies of victims who had been burned to death in the collision. Experts believe that the main causes of the incident were reckless driving, poor road conditions and poorly maintained vehicles. With the absence of an efficient railway system to transport cargo, fatal truck accidents are common along most of the major roads in Nigeria. Malaysia falls short of 4-goal target. Sports after this breather.
We live in a constant changing world, and the only thing we can expect is for all of that through technology to advance even faster. And so it's important and critical to connect with the consumer, to ensure that we are on top of their mind, to ensure that they understand what is our product and what is our offering. And the only way to do that is with advertising and using the right partners to do so.
Apabila tidak boleh tahan, mangsa itu telah membuang air besar di dalam kereta.
Ini kau.
Kecelaruan ASPD ni, mereka juga tidak menunjukkan perasaan
kecederaan yang ditemui oleh pakar bedah siasat ke atas arwah tersebut.
We're back with sport. The 2024 Paris Paralympics closed its curtain on Sunday with a giant music-fueled celebration marking a historic summer. In the closing ceremony, some 24 French DJs, including electronic music pioneer Jean-Michel Jarre, as well as Cassius, played in the final part of the event. During the show, 169 delegations also paraded to the tunes of French classics, which had the spectators singing along. The festivities ended in a fiery final, with fireworks lighting up the sky above the stadium. Paris Mayor Anne Hidalgo then officially passed the Paralympic flag to International Paralympic Committee President Andrew Parsons, who gave it to Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass. China topped the overall medal table with 94 gold medals, while Great Britain settled for second place. Malaysia concluded the games 42nd overall, winning 2 gold, 2 silver and 1 bronze, falling short of their 4-goal target. The goals were secured by para-badminton champion Chia Lik Ho in the men's singles SU5 category and powerlifter Bonnie Bunyao-Gustin in the men's 72 kg category. With that, the national contingent must learn from their failure to meet their target and come back stronger at 2028 Los Angeles Paralympics. And on to hockey, the 2024 Asian Champions Trophy. The national men's team hit a new low with an embarrassing 2-4 loss to China in their second round robin match on Monday. China, buoyed by home support, struck early when Gao Jiesheng's 9th-minute penalty corner flick sailed past goalkeeper Zaimi Matduris, but the speedy Tigers leveled 5 minutes later through Azrai Aizat Abu Kamal's scrappy solo effort. The Great Wall of China then scored 2 goals in the second quarter to take a 3-1 lead through Jiesheng and Lin Changliang. Faisal Sa'ari pulled one back for Malaysia in the third quarter, but Chao Jieming sealed the 4-2 victory for China in the 56th minute. The Tigers will face India next on Wednesday. And moving on to tennis, the 2024 US Open, Jannik Sinner won his second Grand Slam title on Monday when he swept aside Taylor Fritz in the final, shattering American hopes of a first male champion at the majors in 21 years. World number 1 Sinner, who won his maiden slam at the Australian Open in January, became the first Italian man to triumph in New York with a 6-3, 6-4, 7-5 victory. Fritz tried to mount a comeback after leading 4-3 in the third set, but the Italian broke back later in the contest, wrapping up the win in 2 hours and 16 minutes. With the win, Sinner took home a total of $3.6 million and claimed his 6th title of the season. After his rival Carlos Alcaraz Garcia pocketed the French Open and Wimbledon titles to take his majors collection to 4, the two men have cemented their places as the powerhouses of tennis's new era. Tragic collision claims 3 lives. The details when we come back.
Kilang rempah guna sijil halal tamat tempoh.
Logo halal tak nak bagi kosong. Tak nak approve pun. Pasal you pakai.
Premis meragukan elak pihak berkuasa.
Satu lagi taktik yang dapat dikesan sebelum ni menggunakan nama syarikat lain.
Saksikan 999 Selasa jam 9 malam di TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
MSI menarik minggu ini.
Isu restoran halal, masyarakat harus peka jangan ambil mudah halalan toyiban.
Kanser dalam kalangan kanak-kanak semakin membimbangkan. Apakah puncanya?
Kena sidai di lapangan terbang. Ketahui hak anda sebagai pengguna.
Kes rogol bawah umur dan sumbang maram seringkali kita dengar. Kenapa ya?
Dan soal wang, ketahui kos memasuki rumah baru.
MSI setiap Isnin hingga Jumaat 9.30 pagi.
Hanya di TV3 dan di aplikasi Tonton.
Thanks for staying with us. In Johor, an odour pollution suspected to be from chemical waste has been detected in several more areas in Johor Bahru. State Health and Environment Committee Chairman Ling Tian Sun said the Johor Fire and Rescue Department has received 4 reports regarding the foul stench. According to authorities, the strong chemical smell was detected in Taman Damansara Alif, Taman Johor, Taman Perling, Taman Tampoi Utama, Taman Impian Emas Skudai, Kampung Maju Jaya and Desa Idaman, which are located along Sungai Skudai and Sungai Tebrau tributary. A team of firemen has been dispatched to the affected areas to conduct investigations on the source of the stench since 3:30 a.m. on Tuesday. Sekolah Kebangsaan Kampung Maju Jaya has also been ordered to close after 21 students experienced symptoms including dry throat, breathing difficulty and nausea. The students aged 10 to 12 were given medical treatment by Kempas health officers before they were sent home. Last week, the State Department of Environment as well as Fire and Rescue Department confirmed that the odour pollution affecting 3 residential areas in Johor Bahru was due to high concentration of ammonia gas exceeding normal levels along Sungai Pandan. This also led to the discovery of chemical waste dumped along the banks of the Sungai Plentong tributary near the Desa Tropika industrial area in Johor Jaya. And lastly, 3 people, including a woman and her daughter, were killed in a horrific accident involving 3 vehicles in Jengke, Pahang on Monday. 4 other individuals were also injured in the incident, which occurred at Jalan Maran Bandar Jengke around 7 a.m. Initial investigations revealed that a Perodua Alza travelling from Bandar Jengke to Maran collided with a Toyota Avanza that was believed to have swerved into the opposite lane. A Perodua Myvi trailing behind the Alza was unable to stop in time and also hit the Avanza. The crash also caused the Alza to burst into flames. Members of the public, including utility company workers passing by the location, helped to put out the fire. Police said 2 of the victims, 42-year-old Noraini Ali, who was the Alza driver, and 13-year-old Nurin Hazika Nik Ibrahim, a passenger in the Avanza, were pronounced dead at the scene. Noraini's daughter, 7-year-old Alfa Medina Azwan, died while receiving treatment at the Jengke Dua Health Clinic. The 4 injured victims included the 28-year-old Avanza driver and his 2 13-year-old passengers and the 34-year-old female driver of the Myvi. All of them were given treatment at the Temerloh and Jengke hospitals. The accident is being investigated under the Road Transport Act. This edition of Nightline, we leave you with visuals of large-scale performances as well as drone and light shows at China's famous scenic spot in the Gansu province. With that, I'm Muhammed. Hamdan. Thanks for tuning in and stay safe, Malaysia.